Mad dogs.
Yeah.
Deal on that mask coming out tonight. You had changes?
It was just, saying.
Okay, it's fine. Okay.
Send that out today.
What I read the other said you got to wear a mask, COVID or no COVID.
It covers my whole face. Covers up my eyes.
You can just peek out.
All right, 6:30 is here. We'll go ahead and get started. As Samuel will give us an invocation start. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing we got tonight is spring trash amnesty, David.
If y'all want to consider doing the cash amnesty day in spring, part of the matches that we're having about.
We do that Saturday prior to Master Week.
Yeah, I think you're looking at probably March 26th, the 19th or the 26th.
26.
When's Masters?
Yeah,
So it's early this year then?
it's the first week of April.
First full week. Yeah, usually first full week after, but which is be Saturday. It'd be the following week then.
But a lot of people would probably out of town the second.
Yeah.
If they were on vacation.
When's Easter? 17th.
It was April, but I was like,
All right, March 26th. All right, camera system.
Yeah, we've finally got, I think, good enough connectivity out at the transfer station. We would like to add some cameras out there. The camera and cabling total cost is the same camera system that we have in our existing building here, $7,659.
And what exactly are the cameras? How will they be?
They would get some of the outside traffic tags, coming across the scale, inside, the office, just additional security.
What what are connectivity issues out there, and if we improve that?
Yeah, we've improved it, but it's still a wireless connection.
As in telephone type thing?
Yeah, cellular-based connection.
Would that ultimately be, we have the ultimate ability to do that without a person emitting and that kind of thing? Of course, with civilians coming in or citizens, you gotta have somebody for that. I'm just thinking of the trucks, but.
There are kiosk-based systems that where you come across a scale, they got alarms, obviously, you come up on the scale, weight, you pay, after you come back through, but you still, the way this, our setup is, it'd be very difficult, on the commercial carrier side and even on the residential side to, be able to weigh going back across.
Would that be any improvement when it's redesigned? Probably not, would it?
Well, I think we can, obviously, we talked about doing something where we totally separate commercial and residential traffic. So when we do that, I think we can make some improvements to make it easier on the residential side. Actually be able to eliminate the scales altogether in most cases, because we'd be weighed at a different location with a different method.
I'm a little confused, because recently I went out there, when I drove in, I stopped, went in, got rid of my stuff, and came back on and stopped again on there to determine what the weight of what I dropped off was. That's not changing.
No.
No. Okay. All right.
I'm just saying there are some kiosk systems that would allow.
Your chair, association needs a chair.
We got one in here. Let's be. We got a chair.
Now, the cameras, will they be connected with this building as well? Yes.
All right, any other questions of the camera system? If not, ARPA grant coordinator service agreements.
So, we've got several different, ARPA grants we're dealing with. This one's actually for the, court side. So the court administrators have, contracted for someone to be the, grant service coordinator, for the grant funds through the court system. This would be a service agreement with that individual. It would be covered by the grant funding.
All right, our tunes certain award package, did that get amended? Did it?
That's another item on here, and I probably just really talk about that. So, previously, we received some money, that covered additional expenses in the DA's office and additional court expenses on the judge's side that they had failed to include, some costs associated with, security, cost in the clerk's office for, bringing in additional jurors, additional staffing down there, so the grant was amended and now includes, another $121,700.
That's gonna cover, Sheriff says that'll cover what he's gonna have to do.
Yeah, that's where the numbers came from.
That's, I guess, the sheriff's department. Yeah, is that budgeted? Well, it's a grant, so it,
No, it's not budgeted specifically for already, but this would grant fund would offset those additional costs.
is one of those grants that goes away.
Yeah, it goes away.
Well, the additional court should go away too, Bill. I mean,
It's just to help with the backlog in the court system.
I mean, if it doesn't get cleared up, I guess they'll go through another round of this grant process, so. All right, budget amendments, Pam.
General fund has some additional expenses of $111,250. Those will be offset using the budget contingency funds. Also, the local option sales tax, we collected additional funds of $217,800. Fire EMS needs, they had additional expenses of $217,800, and those will be offset using general fund. Forfeiture fund had additional expenses of $1,100. Those will be offset using prior year funds. Transportation SPOS had additional expenses of $2,050,500. those will be using additional grant revenues we received, additional T-SPOS revenues, and prior year funds to balance that fund. And the last amendment is for Big Heart Campground, an amount of $31,900, additional revenues and expenses in the amount of $31,900.
Charlie, might I ask a question? How many active SPOS do we currently have in McDuffie County?
4, 5, 6, 7. Huh?
And then T-SPOS.
And T-Block.
Do they have expiration dates, or do they just run for a certain length of time?
Every splosh except 7 collections have expired on. It's just there are projects back going far back to splosh 4
Okay,
that still have money left in them and hadn't been expended. So that's still an active splosh.
thank you. Cleared that up.
All right. Road resurfacing projects, David.
All right, we have an amended list with some amended costs there in front of you. As you can see, it's a fairly lengthy list of all the roads that we propose resurfacing. With the new cost estimates that we have, it's 18.22 miles. Resurfacing costs will be $3,215,960.90. If you look at what I've highlighted in green, that's actually what I'm recommending that we move forward with this year, which is Union Church, Washington, States Drive, Fisher Road, North Seymour Drive, and William Street. Cost for those projects is $844,976.90. As y'all know, we typically do a little over $1 million, sometimes 1.2, 1.4. But asphalt prices are through the roof because fuel prices are through the roof. So I would recommend that we don't resurface as much this year project-wise. And maybe see if things don't settle down next year with pricing. But it's not going to change between now and the time we dig this out. I've also got listed on there 2 roads for striping that we would include, which is Old White Oak Road and Fort Creek Road. Total of a little more than 8 miles. The proposed cost for striking 8 miles is $53,692.09.
Now, this is where we need to add Radford Gate and North Main and Deering. The
When you talk about
restriping.
Old White Oak Road, you're talking about North Main Street.
Okay,
We got
that
covered.
is the
What
Old
you're
White
talking
Oak. So we just need to add, can we add Radford Gate there?
Commons is an additional $17,133.70. So if you want that one, we included the others.
Where is it on the list?
It's on
the back
the top of the second page.
Commons?
All right, if y'all know of any other roads that people have been talking to you about as far as restriping, please let David know. I know Fort Creek is probably the biggest complaint we have. I don't know what else is out there.
David, I told you about Big Hole. The right one striking.
On this one,
Big Hole.
I don't think where that is.
Big Heart, Big Heart, campground.
The road going in is Russell Landing Road, I mean, but it's, I don't think that road's ever had stripes on it, Sam.
You talk about in the campground?
Taking you to the campground.
The name of that road is Russell Landing Road, but it's, as long as I can remember, it's never had a stripe on it.
We need a stripe on it.
Well, I mean, that road that we used to the center line is all you
Yeah.
can do. So I can get a cost on that before Wednesday. scenario.
But I think campers and stuff like that probably would be a better idea to have some.
Okay, capital projects update.
So I was just gonna go into some. projects we're working on. So, this comes up. We've been working with Sweetwater Park improvements, so an engineer, has been selected. They're currently working on the scope of work, and pricing for that, so probably in a week or so, I should have that outlined. We will look at probably one of the demoing the existing, concession stand field house that's there now, before the ball gets started. We'll have to bring in some, toilets, in the interim, and then they'll be working on the design for that project moving forward. The government center, so still working on the landscape, design, and the park project, which is cross street. Park project is actually, being worked on by UGA students. So in the next, month and a half, 2 months, we'll have a conceptual, layout for that project to bring you out and present and see where we go from there. Riceboro Road, county attorney are working on the easement acquisition, so hopefully that gets submitted in the next, week or so. And we did not receive the grant from it. I don't know if y'all were aware of that, but we did not receive any of the additional funding we requested for, sewer improvements out there.
And that, what that means is based on Bill's, cost estimates, which are probably even higher now, just to do Ridgeview and some of the houses up on Riceboro and both Crawford Short, those two subdivisions, we're currently $900,000 short of funds to be able to do that. I don't know where we're gonna get $900,000. I had really hoped that this ARPA funding, because we requested actually about $2.5 million to go ahead and do Daniel Plays and Daggett and Hamilton, sort of finish the thing out. But we didn't get it. If you go back and look at the list that came out, the communities, which is constantly have requested $24 million to do some of the stuff we need to get done here on the system. A lot of that being at the wastewater treatment plant, but if you got funded with broadband, neither the county nor any of the cities within that area got funded on water and sewer. So I guess they were spreading it around.
So it's one or the other.
Now, there is, I think it says summer, another round of competition for, I assume water and sewer and broadband will still be part of that. But I don't know where you get, we're already borrowing either $600,000 or $650,000 from GEPA towards this project. It was $650 GEPA, $250,000 renewals extensions, and then $750,000 of CDBG funding, about a $1.6 million project that's gone to 2.5 because of inflation. So, if y'all got any ideas, please let us know.
What comes to the other two loans, the GEPA and CDBG, with that, if we try to go like it may be too soon this summer, but maybe next year, would they, are they automatically kicked out of those loans? What do you say, GEPA and,
The GEPA, no, we get the GEPA loan anytime. Now, if we don't, at some point, which I guess I will have to go to DCA and sit down and talk about the issues we're in and what we're trying to do, what you would hope is they give you an extension on your grant. And they'll extend so far and then at some point, they just take the funding back and give it to somebody else.
Well, I thought we'd already asked for 2 extensions.
We did, we asked for 1 extension. And so, again, we just have to go sit down and explain to them that there's potential for other funding. And, yeah, you know, see what kind of answer they give us is all I know to do.
Well, I just thinking that since they already awarded one time, maybe they keep us in mind next year, if we could go for the, grant.
Well, and we got the grant, we just want to keep it. I guess if you lost it, you could reapply if you had other funding, but the best thing to do is for them to give us another extension, understanding what inflation has done to this project. And, you know, hopefully get some good news from that, but we'll see.
This is a situation where, since we didn't get the ARPA money, that we basically have to put this whole thing on hold, right? The entire project.
Unless you got 900,000
I
to do it part with.
don't, I'm afraid I don't, but that's, I mean, that's my question. It's not something that we can do a piece of. We've got to have
And
the full amount.
that's the thing, I thought about going back to DCA and saying, hey, here's where we are, can we get started? But see, when you do that, you immediately change, like in the grant funding formula, they gave you so many dollars per household or per person benefit. And if you cut the households in half, then your dollar per beneficiary goes through the roof. And you, in the old formula, you may not have been one of the projects that got funded in the first place. So that's why I don't let you do that.
Okay.
So I don't know, I guess the next step is conversations with DCA. And
So all of the signatures that we've gotten, do they just carry on until we do have the money for the project, or do we have to do all of
the
that?
easement,
Easements.
done.
They're done, so that's not something we have to go back and revisit. Okay,
Just the info we're gonna have to move forward with the community,
okay.
which we're working on now.
One that's not up there, and then please don't report on this one, because I don't want to confuse people in the election cycle, but we are trying to, move where,
I got all that on.
oh, it's on next one.
Okay, go back to the, on Sweet Water Park improvements. Do you know when is softball supposed to start?
Start,
In March. So we feel pretty confident that we're gonna be able to keep all the debris and everything away from,
And that's why I think we need to go ahead and just do whatever demo we're gonna do and have it done and out of the way.
okay?
Site graded out, while they're finishing up the design. Like I said, we might have to put some bathrooms out there, figure out how we handle concessions moving forward, but we can do that. And then have a new facility built shortly after that.
So everything will be up and running fully for 2023.
Already, I mean, no matter what we try to do, buy or build, we're having problems finding supplies and materials.
When does 36 weeks out?
Go on to the next. Broadband update on that, showed $4 million. Been awarded to us by the state. We're still working with Comcast, working through the grant process. Comcast is already beginning the engineering design. We have to have this project done in 3 years. I said should have. I was hoping, we did finally receive this afternoon, late, the terms and conditions for the grant funding. That'll be on your agenda Wednesday, so I was gonna say should have the terms and conditions in the next week or so, but we got them today, so that's another item we'll have there.
That has to be done in 3 years, but Comcast is saying more like 18 months.
The project has to be done in 3 years. Comcast is,
I just remember from talking to them, they said it could do a lot faster than that.
they're gonna, yes, they're saying they can get the project project done quicker, they're gonna run into the same issue everybody else is. They're putting fiber in the ground, fiber to the house. You know, a lot of it's gonna depend on supply. But they had, I think, system-wide, business-wide, they had decided to start going ahead and pre-purchasing a lot of the materials they needed, because they were using them throughout their whole footprint, which isn't just us. Elections office, which is what I thought you were going to start talking about, Charlie, we're working with the school board on property acquisition. School system has requested a couple things in exchange, which is grading the middle school baseball field. Now they're also asking about the entrance to the new middle school, which will be behind, or new elementary school, which is behind the old, the middle school over on, White Acre. We're gonna start working on cost estimates for the improvements. And, for this real quick. We're going to, once this loads, so currently, Jonah, now we own this and this lot here. This is the building we're talking about. So I'd like to move forward with a surveyor to get this property here, almost all the way to the board office. It gives us the opportunity, because, you know, we've done revamp this parking lot. We would end up extending this parking lot with the entrance into this building here being on the side for elections moving forward. And then we have this other area out here to use in the future for multi-purpose field, things along those lines. But it's approximately almost 3 acres, including building.
But again, that definitely will not be done for the primary, and quite possibly may not be done for the general this year. Depends on, I mean, the school system still got stuff in the building they've been trying to get out for a year and a half now. So, and we still
How does
got,
that work with the state requirements and grandfathered in on the gym and all that stuff?
We meet the requirements at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
it's just that, Philip, you get that building behind it, you can put the elections offices, and you have a place in there to leave the machines set up all the time, instead of having to break them down and move them, and then, you know.
Well, that's what I thought you had to do, but
Not
you
very
don't have to
secure.
do that.
And all the cameras and everything, that building.
And then you obviously can use the gym or a gym, which might take some of the pressure off of, Sweetwater gym.
So the goal is really to have it ready by the general election. And
It may be.
If possible. If possible.
Kind of, sort of.
I mean, you know, right now, until Neil moves the stuff, we got nothing. I mean, we're sitting on the phone. And like I say, we were having this discussion, last summer, and it's still in there. And then, so, I mean, we're in a holding pattern to let this fix.
Last winter, because Phyllis came in and told us what we had to do, right in January or something, so.
Again, I don't know, it will depend on the school's time frame, and then, you know, you got David handling it. So.
So can we use the fact that we will look at completing those tasks that they are asking for once we have access to the building as a tool?
I'd like to move ahead with at least getting the survey done, and deeds drawn up for the property, so I can
Do that.
That's fine, but I mean,
I won't tell anybody, though, we're gonna be having our general election in that building,
no.
and then everybody's confused. And when they hear that from Phyllis through the notice she is required to send out.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's just the fact that we're not in compliance and
so we are in compliance now.
with the cameras and the security
That
and all that
That
stuff.
building is in compliance.
Okay. I didn't think we were with the cameras.
Well, it's costing us more time, effort, manpower, because we have the office, the elections office is separate from where this voting location is. If we can consolidate everything in one location, it increases our reliance on the security we have in place, solves a long-term problem. But again, the original intent of us getting the old gym was to use it as a gym. It was never to end up having elections stuck in that building. The reason we can't use it as an old gym right now is because of the changes in election law. We can't have anybody else in the building. How we store, maintain the equipment is all scrutinized. Security of the building and everything else.
Well, I guess my point with the, we complete these other jobs for the schools and stuff is to create some urgency that they understand that time is a factor with this. Not for this election, but to get it ready so that we can be in compliance.
You get Miss B to handle me.
Charlie, will the old elections board be utilized for anything, the one that's down in the courthouse now? Because hasn't it been long that you guys planked out a lot of money to revamp that?
The space there, I don't know, that's something we'll discuss once elections have moved out. I'm sure it will be used for some productive use. It's not going to go away.
Okay.
All right, so campground improvements, we made an application for approximately $1.5 million in grant funding for the River Water Trail project. That did not get funded this year. So we'll be coming back to you with some other improvements that we're going to do with the campground. The emergency communication system, our radio system, we're moving into the next phase of that project. Sweetwater Activity Center, was a project program in SWAT 7. I think we need to start looking at the renovation of that facility so that we can get moving that project forward. In Pitch Street Park, as I made all y'all aware, I think a week or so ago, the city acquired the additional property out there, so we'll be moving forward with design of that, of the improvements out there. Once we get the Sweetwater Park project moving forward. So I don't want to, one of the other issues we're having a hard time with now is finding engineers and architects to do projects. So I can't overload them as we have because of the finding how we do it.
The mobile homes and stuff on that property, will they, I know that's the season, but are they gonna have to move those out, or are they being moved out?
They're being moved out, the city's working with those individuals.
On that one question before you change that, you go back to the other side. On the emergency communication system, that's lost funding in 7, right? Okay. So we have what, 1.7 million on that? 1.8. Okay. So how far have we spent so far on that?
I think we're going to spend a little bit with the planning.
Okay, so we're not, it's not done that yet.
So miscellaneous buildings, some things that we have been working on. Library, we just completed pressure washing, the exterior of the building repair of ceilings inside and some flooring and exterior trim. We'll be working to finish making some repairs to the parking lot, seal and restripe, and we're trying to find fixtures for the exterior lamp posts that are out there. It's another issue. We just have a hard time finding those materials. What we previously selected is not available. We're looking at probably 6 months out on some of these things. Health Department DFACs, we have finished all the interior improvements like we talked about. We're going to work on the exterior drainage, landscape, and we'll also seal and restripe the parking lot for both the Health Department and DFACs. Senior Center, we have an exterior wall repair that we're trying to get a structural engineer to look at, but also plan to seal, restrike that parking lot. Mental health, building, we moved the public defender's office in there. So we've done all the interior improvements to that building. I will get the exterior pressure washed, we're gonna do some work on the landscape. Seal and restrike the parking lot, I've got to put up some signage for their office. I also need to go ahead and look at having the 3 parking lot, or 4 parking lots, because if I include the one behind the building, here at the government center, sealed and restriped, and like I said earlier, we'll be working on the landscape project. And the airport, I have the same issue, you need to seal and restripe the parking lot out there.
Speaking as a member of the Friends of the Library, I thank you for what's already been done over there. The library, since it's been pressure washed, even on the ceilings outside, it looks incredible. And we are very looking forward to having stripes outside and lights.
Just a side question, how is the traffic at the airport at this particular point? I mean, we haven't had a get together in a while, so is that, you talking about the plane traffic? Yeah. Is it increasing or is it increasing? No, I just haven't really.
The traffic is increasing.
Yeah, John Deere flying parts in there every night.
Rock House project, so we're still, we've got a draft of the master plan. We're still waiting on the preservation plan, and we'll have a meeting with DOT, starts off in June about, the Rock House road realignment. So we've read, that's a TIA funded project, and the next round of TIA. So hopefully they're gonna give us authorization to go ahead and start that project early. Because a big part of the master plan, for the Rock House property is contingent on the road realignment. West bypass project's on schedule, everything's moving ahead, so this time will, late fall, winter of next year, or this year, excuse me, that project will be completed. We've gone through the road resurfacing and restriping, we'll get cost estimates on these other roads. Project that's recently come, it hasn't recently come up, it's going to be seeking public comment, is the State Route 17 Wire Road roundabout. DOT is going to be advertising, I think, next week, and the following week in our local paper. They also will have on their public comment website form to receive comments concerning the project. This is a 100% DOT funded project. So this is all part of the process moving forward. So they should have design probably 75% completed, and based on public comments, they'll finish up the design and have the project ready to go out for construction.
Are they gonna try to time that with the completion of the west bypass so that everything is linked up together? No.
They've looked at this as a totally separate project, just from this is just an intersection safety improvement project from their standpoint. It really doesn't tie something like that.
Just a question on that too, on that, will that affect, truck traffic going through town? And the reason I ask that is because, that it's, would it increase, is it hard for a 18-wheeler to get around a roundabout as opposed to going, would they use the bypass more?
Well, from the standpoint of DOT's thought was that it would help increase the use of the bypass. Because when trucks are coming, especially from south to north, when they get there, they're not going to want to go all the way around the roundabout and continue to go straight. They're going to want to go.
There'll be a bypass lane that instead of slowing down, waiting on other traffic that may be coming through the roundabout and then having to go all the way around to the other side and pick speed back up. You get over that bypass lane, it's just like the one pumping center. They're gonna have to slow down, but they won't have to slow down to 5 or 10 miles an hour. They'll probably be able to stay at 15, 20 miles an hour, hit that and go on.
And they wanted to make that circle.
That's right.
So that's kind of my question, because that's the hope that.
Between that and what the city's doing downtown, hopefully the truckers won't, they won't use the bypass much more. All right.
So I had on capital improvement fund.
All right, well, we already did the two circuit, so ambulance purchase.
So we've been trying to look for replacement ambulance. We have our, the one that we purchased last year will be here.
Hopefully in March, first of April.
What was the, time frame on that thing? 'Cause we ordered that like
March of last year.
so it's been right a year then.
It'll be slightly over a year, but if it gets here, when they say it's going to.
Is that what's the situation now?
It's longer now.
Well, that's
Anywhere
what
from
I'm-
14 to 16 months.
that's what I was afraid of, so. You do, so. Anyway,
So as you know, we had an ambulance that we have to replace, through the fire. Steve got this pricing today, and they've actually given us, the pricing's good for 30 days, but we have to let them know in 14 days, is that right, Steve?
Yeah, this is dated February 16th, and it's good for 30 days or the availability of 2022 chassis. So we're still at the mercy of them finding a chassis for us. They do have some coming in. The quicker you get in line, the more likely you are to get a chassis.
So we're recommending moving ahead with this purchase.
This is just the truck, this is not the box.
So this is
This is
This is the whole thing.
the only thing that's not priced in here that we would like to get, that we bought on our last new one we purchased, was the power cot and the power load system, which is really helps us with back injuries, because it's an electric cot that is worked off a battery, and then your load system, you do not have to support that stretcher at all. Arms come out, support it, you just slide it in. You're probably looking at additional 45,000 for that.
are we looking at 14, 16 months on this?
This one right here, yes. Yes, at least that one. And it all has to do with the supply chain for them getting the parts they need to actually build the box once they get a chassis.
We moved away from the 450s to the 4500s.
We moved away from the 350s to the 450s. We went with the 4500 Dodge. The Dodge has a good product, but the problem is getting parts for the Dodge. We've got one unit that's been down for over 2 months waiting for parts.
So we're too short then, right?
Sure.
Did they do a better job with the Ford engine? They moved away from the 6-point whatever.
Yeah, they've changed the engine, but I'm gonna tell you, Ford's the only ones you can get.
You get. I just thought the Dodges had held up a lot better.
The Dodge motor itself, you can't beat, but it's kind of some of the parts around it that wear out once you get the 300,000 mile mark. And that's what most ours are.
All right, so we're getting a new one, and, got that other one next year, so we'll probably need to order one pretty soon after that, after the, wait.
And we're getting to a point where we're gonna be recommending a remount, because the boxes are still in decent shape. Where you save about a third of the cost. They take the box off of one of your current ambulances and remount it on a new chassis, refurb the box, and you save about a third of your cost. So we're getting to a point that we would start recommending some of that, because we've got all of our boxes standardized.
we get the one coming in at the end of, March, first of April, and then this one, all the boxes will be standard. So then we
How
can.
many miles are the older ones getting now?
Well, actually,
Like some of those Fords and that whole shit, that Chevrolet that we had.
We don't have any Fords left.
You know,
no,
We got one Chevy and the rest are not.
yes.
okay.
And, the Chevy is the 2014, got 265,000 miles on it. It's frontline truck right now.
Is that the one that we put the lift on?
Bed 4 is a Dodge, it's a 2018 model, and it's got the power load on it, and it's got 265,000 on it. That's our newest ambulance at this point. The 2017s, we've got 3 of those, and they range anywhere from 260,000 to 310,000.
Are most of the miles coming from local, or they're running back and forth to transport?
All of
Like every bit of it?
all of it.
Well, COVID increased a lot of that, didn't it?
Not really. We actually lost calls here at COVID. Some of our calls were reduced because people didn't want to go to the hospital. They're scared to go to the hospital at that point. So ours last year, during the height of COVID, we reduced slightly on our calls. It's starting to pick back up now.
Well, on, that 300,000, what's the estimated mileage you get out of those things?
Depends on how good our CAM mechanic is, and he's doing a hell of a job keeping them up and running right now. He's coming in on the weekends if he needs to do minor stuff to keep us, ambulance up and running. I told David and staff meeting the other day, we need to thank him because he's doing everything he can to keep these trucks up and running. And one with brake issues that started yesterday, we had to pull it out of service. He jumped on the first thing this morning, had it back to us in service by 2 o'clock today. So we was back up to our 4 units because he was able to go ahead and get it moving. Now the one, he did tell me today, the one that we've been waiting for parts, he should be able to start getting it put back together, so hopefully that will give us a little breathing room, with giving us one extra to have us spare each day.
Well, you have that, and you have a new one.
That'll
But my concern is going forward, everything you got's got 300,000 miles on it,
pretty much.
and you have one new one, so that's it.
Just try to keep them serviced regular, keep them checked on regular, and, like I say, Cody is doing a good job down at the shop, and, he does everything he can to keep the trucks up and moving for us.
All right, so do you, one more thing, it has nothing to do with the trucks, but do you have the data yet from 2021 for the calls that we can start looking at and be proactive on this year? Okay,
David's got all of that.
okay.
All right, last thing we got is a GRP Day award. David.
Really just want to let y'all know if you didn't, on Tuesday, we gotten a state volunteer award from GRPA, which was given last Wednesday. And hopefully there's something to say about this. Yeah, we covered it.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, anything else we need to have come up? Not
What's on the agenda?
Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and, broadband, agreement, the terms and conditions for the broadband.
So that'd be, okay.
7 items.
Okay,